Hi everyone, welcome back to the Spoonie and Caregiver Live podcast. I'm your host Jordan Banderas, and before we get started, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of this, the new and improved podcast. And let's go ahead and get into today's episode, shall we? Now, this is something that I'm going to ask you, and that question is, what are you afraid of? Now, let's talk about the importance of knowing what you're afraid of, okay? And let me tell you this. I've been afraid of a lot of things, but one in particular. And this happens to be the fear of not being accepted. Now, as you guys might know, I'm not from the United States. I'm from Mexico. Well, what happened when I moved from Mexico to the States? I had to learn a new language, right? Well, here's what happens. It's not as easy. It could be easy, but for me, it wasn't. I always take the long road, apparently. So it wasn't easy. When I moved to Utah, I had to learn English in a very hard and fast way because I had to help my mom translate. So I didn't really understand a lot of things, so that I couldn't communicate. I couldn't literally communicate with people. I couldn't talk. I couldn't express myself. So I felt like I wasn't being accepted because people didn't get to know me, the real me. And now that I'm able to talk more and better because I've been able to practice with my wife. That's what happens when you marry a native, in this case, a native of the language, in this case. You might learn more. So that's pretty much what happened to me. But before I was able to do that with my wife, I felt like I was isolated. I felt angry inside. I felt depressed because I couldn't be myself. Like in Mexico, I was thinking about it. I was talking to my wife before I started recording, how in Mexico I was like, oh man, I was like so talkative and nobody could tell me to stop talking because I was literally the life of the party. And then I started thinking like, okay, then what happened between me being in Mexico and then moving to Utah? I'm like, well, I had to learn a new language, but I didn't really learn the language because at the same time I didn't really like school, and the people that I was hanging out with, they didn't really know the language as well. So I learned the English that I learned. It was more like from the street, like it wasn't like a good English. It was more like, I don't want to say like, it was like, yeah, like from the street. Like I learned it from friends. I learned it from acquaintances or the people that I was hanging out with, things like that. I learned some from TV, but it wasn't as good. So my English was bad. I'm gonna accept that. My English was so bad that I couldn't really express myself. I couldn't really talk, and that caused me to be angry because I couldn't really say what I was feeling. I couldn't really tell you what I wanted. I couldn't really say like, hey, let's do this. I didn't even want to try new things because I'm like, if I don't understand it, if somebody's explaining it to me, I'm not gonna understand it. So what's the point of even trying? Like that's pretty much what was happening to me. And then I met my wife, and because I couldn't really like communicate with her, what was happening is that we were fighting a lot. So I had to realize, I had to put my ego down. I had to understand, I had to humble myself literally and understand that the reason why we were having so many issues is because I couldn't really express myself. And that made me feel like I wasn't understood and that I will never be accepted. So because of that, I kept fighting with my wife. And then I was like, you know what? Can you teach me English? Like, can you help me to improve my vocabulary, like expand my language skills, my communication skills? And obviously she said yes. As you can tell, I'm able to talk a little bit better. And every day I'm practicing and getting better and better thanks to my wife. Like I read every day, something that I haven't done for years. So I'm learning new things. And I think this is very important because especially right now with what I see online and pretty much everywhere, it seems to me that a lot of people are afraid of not being accepted. That's why we buy the expensive things even though we can't really afford them. That's why we do things that our friends can accept us even though it might be bad for us, you know? Like there's so many things that people are doing right now and that I've done to be accepted, but the problem, or in this case from my experience, is that I think that a lot of the times we feel like we need to do other things instead of communicating in order for us to be accepted because we don't know how to communicate. And that's what was happening to me, and it has happened for the last 20 years since I moved here. I've been here in 20 years, and it's been for 20 years I felt like I wasn't going to be accepted because I wasn't going to be able to be understood. So I hang out with drug lords, I carry drugs, I did all these things, I did so many things so I could be accepted. But that wasn't me. I knew deep inside that some of the things that I was doing were wrong, but I wanted to be accepted by a group of people. So I was just agreeing with them because I couldn't say like no. Because if I had said like I don't want to do this, then they will say like okay, why? Or then don't you want to be part of the team? You know, or don't you want to be part of this group? That's why a lot of kids are being bullied right now. There's a lot of bullying right now. And everything like that because you want to be accepted by somebody or be afraid. There's going to be two things in life. You either want to be accepted for who you are or be afraid, or you want to make people be afraid of you for who you are not. You're going to pretend to be the tough guy and things like that, you know? And I talk that from experience. That's pretty much how I was because I couldn't communicate. I think that's why I was getting like aggressive with people. It's like, okay, you don't understand my words, you're gonna understand violence. Everybody understands violence, you know? Like that's pretty much what I think a lot of people this is why I think a lot of people resort to violence because they cannot express themselves, so they're going to use the next thing that everybody understands, which is violence. You know, and that's pretty much what I was afraid of, you know, becoming either a very violent person and not being accepted. And thanks to I don't know what, the universe or something, I met my wife and I've been able to like, you know, improve myself. So now I'm more accepted, I'm able to talk to people, I'm able to do all of these things. But now with that said, there's something very important that we have to understand. And is that whatever you're afraid of, it can be not being accepted, it can be getting sick, it can be being poor. Like there's so many, whatever you're afraid of, one of the things that's going to do, and take it from me, okay? That's gonna hold you back. But a lot of us don't know that our own fears can hold us back. Like I didn't know that this particular fear of not being accepted was holding me back in such a way that I couldn't move forward. Literally, I couldn't move forward. So what happened in this situation is that I had to understand how it was holding me back. This is how it was holding me back. So for you it might be a little bit different, but this is something that you might have to reflect on about how your fear is holding you back. Now, for me, it prevent me from trying new things because, like I mentioned, I couldn't really communicate. So if I try new things and somebody asks me like, did you like it? I will say, yeah. But then if the person will be like, what did you like about it? And I didn't know how to explain it, I will be like, it was good. And actually did that to my wife so many times and she would get frustrated. So I used to do it, but I was like, yeah, I just want to be accepted, pretty much. For you, like I said, it can be something different. It can be something that that it makes you feel a different way, okay? And also, one of the things that the way that it was holding me back, it was making me angry because I couldn't. It turns out that I'm very expressive, I'm very talkative. And because I couldn't talk, it was making me angry because I really like to know things. I really like to talk to people. That's one of the things that I love, it turns out. Even though I'm very quiet at the beginning, once I feel comfortable, I'm very talkative. But I couldn't be myself because I didn't know how to talk. So I wasn't being accepted because it was like those type of situations where, and probably you hear it, where the kid is very talkative or I mean very quiet, and they're like, oh, he's weird, and people are like, oh, he's weird, he's a nobody, things like that. That's how I felt. That's exactly how I felt. Like I was like an outcast. I was outcasted for not joining the conversations, you know? And it cost me a lot of relationships and things like that. Now, it also, one of the things, the way that it held me back, and this is almost like generally with all fears, it can make you depressed. Because at least the way that I did, the way that it made me depressed, it was more like, I was always asking myself, like, why can I talk to somebody? Why can I be understood? And obviously, depending on your state of mind at the time when you ask yourself that question, your own mind can tell you, it's like, because you're a loser, because you're this, because you're that. So you're just gonna keep going down the rabbit hole, and then you're gonna get depressed, and unfortunately, that can lead to other things, you know, which is bad. And another, and one thing that I realized about my fear is that it can be used against you. And the way that it can be used against you is that, for example, because I felt like I was never going to be accepted. There were people in my life that was told me like, oh, without me, you won't be accepted. I'm the only person that you have. And probably you have heard of somebody telling you, or somebody telling somebody something like that, where it's like, oh, without me, you're nobody. Or without me, you won't have anybody. Or if you don't do this, you won't be accepted. So that's one of the things that was holding me back. And now that I understand why I wasn't being accepted, and I'm actually improving myself, one of the things that's been happening is that I feel more confident about myself. I feel like you know, like I don't have to be accepted by anybody except only by me, because this is how I am, and obviously my wife. This is how I am, and I'm becoming a better person, and that's why I told my wife, is like, help me. You were raised a completely different way than me. Show me how you were raised. Almost like it's almost like this. I almost told her, like, treat me like if I'm your kid and you're raising me, literally, because you have to understand. I'm from a completely different country, completely different culture. So now I'm in the United States. I have to learn the culture. But I'm afraid of messing up. I'm afraid of not understanding. I'm afraid of not being accepted. I'm afraid of so many things. But if I'm not able to communicate, then I'm not going to be able to learn or understand. So this is why you have to know what exactly you're afraid of, and then determine how it's holding you back. Once you determine how it's holding you back, then you can work on it. You can either go to therapy, you can talk to somebody, you can talk to yourself, you can write it down and come up with a plan. It's up to you. But you shouldn't let your fears hold you back, because sometimes our fears, they're like, in my opinion, like in this case, this fear, they're literally dumb. Like, this fear is dumb for me, because I'm like, the only thing that I could have done from the beginning is actually pay attention and learn. But I didn't. I decided to play, I decided to mess around, and I messed a lot of things. I messed up a lot of things. And I got in trouble, and then yada, 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 you know? So this is pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you guys are enjoying the new podcast. I hope you guys are liking it. And like always, Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. That's the only way that we can grow, so more people can understand that they're not alone, and then we can make the community grow as well. And don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you like the content, don't forget to share it. That way we can grow even more. And obviously, and one of the things that I do ask from you is, like, if you really like the podcast and you want this to grow as well, so others can be welcome and everybody can help each other, don't forget to comment, because unfortunately, due to the algorithms, that's what helps, that's what helps. And thank you for your time. Thank you for and if you want to share your story, send me questions that I might be able to answer in the podcast. You can do it anonymously at the Spoonie and Caregiver live at gmail.com. You can share your story on Facebook. And as always take care of yourself and have a great day.